All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 10 o'clock and we are going to start our last virtual job spotlight for December on transportation, distribution, and logistics. So my name is Lynn April. I am the ACP coordinator with CESA 8 out of Gillett, Wisconsin. And we are presenting these virtual job spotlights in conjunction with CESA 7, the Ahnapee Youth Apprenticeship Consortium, UWGB, NWTC, and Inspire Northeast Wisconsin. And my cohort, Allison Bowie, is also on today. So she is going to be manning the chat. So between the two of us, we will be introducing our speakers today and hearing from them. So today we are concentrating on all of the post-secondary information you need about transportation, distribution, and logistics. So we're hearing today from Doug Reinhardt, the diesel heavy equipment technician at NWTC, Todd Brandenburg, automotive technology instructor at NWTC, Angela Hansen-Winker, lead faculty and supply chain management at NWTC, and Dr. Amelia Gutru, Chair of Business Administration and Associate Professor of Supply Chain Management with the School of Business at UWGB. Just a little preview, if you or anyone you know is interested in agriculture, food, and natural resources, that is going to be the career cluster that we are concentrating on for January. So we've got 4 dates in January instead of 3. We're going to be looking at utilities and solar energy on January 6th, veterinarian, agronomist, and forester on January 13th. We'll have an arborist, an agribusiness seed sales, a county ag agent, and a family farm representative on January 20th. And then January 27th, we'll be looking at everything to do with post-secondary ag as well as an high school ag teacher on the 27th. So if you are interested in agriculture, tune in for January. Just a reminder of our meeting norms. This meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast through Inspire Northeast Wisconsin after the event. Students are muted and your video capabilities are turned off to limit distractions. You will be able to see presenters' slides on the screen. And if you do leave, you may not be able to get back in. I will try to watch that at the top of the screen. And I see I'm having difficulty right now with somebody trying to get into the room. But in the middle of the presentation, once you leave, you may not be able to get back in. We do absolutely encourage students to be part of the presentation through the chat. So Allison will be manning the chat. If there's any questions that you have for any of our speakers today, please make sure you ask those questions in the chat. And then we don't anticipate needing to do this, but we do have the capability of removing anyone from the meeting if they're becoming distracting. All right, so we're going to jump right in today. Our first speaker is Doug Reinhardt. He is the diesel and heavy equipment technician with NWTC. So Doug.
Well, welcome. Just a little bit of correction. I'm actually the instructor for the diesel and heavy equipment technician program. I've been with the college for about 5 years now. Started my 5th year. But what got me started into this industry was I grew up on a farming industry and helped my dad help repair equipment. From there, I decided I wanted to become a diesel and heavy equipment technician. And I joined the NWTC diesel program in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. And how I got to where I'm at as an instructor was a little interesting, but basically, when I was attending the diesel courses, some of the instructors also saw that I had the passion for helping other students, other classmates in my classes I was taking. From there, I decided that, I like doing that, and I continued my education to get a teaching degree for business and industry while finishing up my technical diploma degree as a technician as well. From there, I had several years of working in industry, either as a diesel technician or as I progressed out of there, when I went into a service training instructor role, providing training, commercial training to industries on how how to teach technicians and how to service and repair the construction equipment for like Case IH or to John Deere, so on and so forth. And served about 4.5 years in that role. And then after that, I served a little longer than that. I served a term in as a training, as a technical writer, and I wrote different documents like service manuals and stuff like that. So I stayed within the industry. And finally got to NWTC, where I graduated from. It took me a few years, but that's how I got here. And it's been a great opportunity to become when I was being a student here to being an actual instructor at the college now. So next slide. For our programs, we have 3 different degrees that we're going to be offering starting next in the fall of 21. The first one is actually going to be, it's new, it's a diesel maintenance technician 1-year technical diploma. And then the students can decide if they want to pursue that they like what they're doing, they can actually get another technical diploma. It's be a 2-year program. Is adding on more classes. The first classes, I'll talk about the classes in the next slide, but the diesel and heavy equipment technician program is take it in your 2nd year. Students can also get their associate's degree. This all can be done within 2 years of the program. So if you go to the next slide, I'll explain a little bit about each of the courses a little bit. So how it's laid out is in the fall sessions. Each semester's got about 13 credits, but the first year classes are more basic requirements where industry is in line with us. They want us to be teaching certain courses like transportation, welding 1 and 2, to the diesel lab operation, diesel server operation. Make sure that students are safe working in the industry, and make sure that they're prepared to work in this industry. Also going to have a mathematical reasoning. We also get into the spring classes for first year students, still more basic, like schematic interpretation. That's reading electrical schematics, pneumatic or air and pneumatic schematics, so on and so forth. Getting more electrical again. Electrical is very heavy. We want to have every technician to have the electrical training, no matter what course, no matter what degree that they leave out with. They also get into stuff with chassis and engine systems. And should you decide to take the 2-year program, we actually have a summer internship where you complete about 100 hours of time with working in industry relevant to the diesel and heavy equipment technician world. And then we progress into the more full classes that focus on more heavy equipment side of things. So it's not just general classes, but we focus on the agricultural tractors, to the construction equipment, to the on a few of the larger over-the-road trucks as well. Anything from hydraulic systems, more engines training, we also get into power generation, like a home standby generator. When the power goes out at your house, you get a standby generator to turn your lights back on when the utility company doesn't have the light, they have the power working for them. So we also got a mobile air conditioning, and we also go through a CDL training. So I mean, at a quick high level, I mean, there's a 2-year, the first year class. The first year is your maintenance degree, and should you pursue the 2nd degree to get your technical diploma, you just complete the 2nd year courses. If you want to complete and get an associate degree, it's basically just bolting on or adding a couple extra general education classes all within those 2 years, or after those 2 years, you can complete the associate's program. Okay. So next slide. Class recommendations, for any high school student that is wishing to get into a technician type of job where you're going to be servicing and repairing equipment, I strongly recommend that you guys can take different technology education courses, such as the auto mechanics, or if you got a diesel mechanics program out there, welding, fabrication, agricultural mechanics, machinics, etc. Those classes will help you help you become more prepared as when you come into the program here. Also, be involved in clubs such as Skills USA. Get a chance to be able to compete with other fellow students out there, and maybe in the automotive application, diesel application. We have that sector as well, part of Skills USA. It's a great opportunity to see what this industry is all about. Next slide. As far as for employability skills, what is an industry going to look at when you graduate from the diesel and heavy equipment technician program, and what do we also look at as you're going through the program? Communication skills are critical. You got to have the proper communication skills to be able to communicate properly to the customer that's got a broken down piece of equipment, or talking to the service manager or the parts department within the company. Being on time is a key. At the tech school, we look at time, and if you're late, we look at that as a bad thing. So you got to be on time. So does the industry. They don't like you being there. Be willing to learn, take on new tasks. Be a problem solver. Also looking, do you work well cooperatively with other people within the industry? So, and the last point is, accountability. Will you do the job when you get the job assigned to you? Will you stick through the job and get it done? Even if you face challenges with that job, you got to overcome those obstacles and complete that repair when the machine is broken down. So.
Great.
I think that's the last slide of mine.
It is. So you talked about the 2-year program. Students will have their associate degree, and then it also sounds like they will have their CDL certification by the end of that 2 years. So are there other industry recognized credentials that students are picking up as they're going through the diesel and heavy truck programming?
Yeah, one of the unique opportunities that we have in Northeast at the NWTC, right now we are the only technical school in the state of Wisconsin that is doing any courses with power generation, what I talked about already, where the home standby generators or the backup generators for our school, for example, the college, your high schools, they also got those. A lot of them have a backup generator when the power goes out, that you can have that. They'll leave off with having that extra knowledge of how to properly service and repair power generation equipment when they get out of here. CDL is a big critical thing too, to have that CDL when you graduate. The trucks, the service trucks that as a technician that you drive nowadays, they're becoming where you got to have a CDL because they're over 26,000 pounds that they're registered at. So it's nice to have that CDL when you get out of here.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the power generation. I was so surprised to see that on the schedule. That isn't something I ever would have thought about with diesel and heavy machinery. That, oh yeah, if the power goes out, power generators are a part of that.
It is a thriving industry. Every hurricane, every tornado, or any natural disaster that's out there, wintertime, we get ice storms. The job is never going to end when you go in that profession. Same thing for any of these, technician job as a construction repair shop, to an auto, to a agricultural tractor repair shop, or to the medium and heavy duty trucks, which we don't focus on as much, but that's the other program, a different program that we offer as an NWTC as well. So,
Allison, do we have any questions in the chat?
There are no questions. I appreciate you talking about how you did training. So just that mindset when you go in and as a student, you kind of like helping your fellow classmates. That's a sign of something, right? And to just reiterate that component that there's training within this industry, but then more importantly, the technical writing, that is key. Like you have to understand it in order to write it. So
Yes.
I just really appreciate reminding me about those very important roles within the industry as well.
Yeah, I mean, originally I was a training instructor and I liked it, but the travel got old.
Yep.
Yeah, for me. So with young family, I had started at that time, but the technical writing role, you still got to know you got to know the product, you got to know what's going on and be able to write that there. And like the right opportunity came where, to become an instructor at NWTC. And one interesting fact is the other instructor that's here at the program, he was my instructor back in the early 2000s. So we work side by side now. He graduated from the program here, and also he went to the other colleges as well, the same place. So it's kind of unique opportunity that we have here.
Mhm.
Super. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you very much. So we will move on to our next speaker. So Todd, also at NWTC. Thanks a lot, Doug. Todd Brandenburg is the automotive technology instructor with NWTC. So he's going to talk about that program.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Just introducing myself, like Lynn said, I'm an automotive technology instructor at NWTC. This is my 11th year teaching, so I've been doing this for a little while. Before that, I was a Ford Senior Master Technician for 10 years. So I worked in a Ford dealership. I was trained by Ford Motor Company to become a Master Technician. I was also ASE certified master, which there's 8 different areas, and you take tests based on what those areas are. For example, brakes, you would take a test based on brakes, and if you got certified in brakes, you would have that one certification. And for ASE master, there's 8 different areas. L1 certified, which is just advanced drivability, which is if a car is not running properly, that would be what that certification is all about. And then there's the maintenance and light repair certification, which is like your oil changes, rotates, very basic maintenance certification there. So that's just a little bit about me. Next slide, Lynn, please. All right, so what got me into automotive was, well, I kind of grew up on a small farm, and things always broke on the farm, kind of like Doug was saying. But just understanding how to fix something or why it's broken, and that's what kind of got me interested into fixing things. So, so just knowing how to fix it, understanding how to figure out the problem. Some are more challenging than others, which means you might have something where head gaskets are blowing out on the engine, or you might have an electrical problem, and those are pretty challenging. You might have a rattle in the dash, or you might have a clunk over bumps, or maybe a light on the dash, your check engine light's on. So just understanding how to figure those out is what got me interested. And some things, maybe you have a wind noise or something, or some kind of noise, and that might be a normal characteristic of the fan when it's on high or something like that. So just understanding those problems. A couple other things, technology is what got me interested too. And if you guys can see in one of those pictures there's a computer underneath the hood of the car. And we use computers for scanning, checking codes, for seeing what the sensors are reading, how fuel injection works, how much time the fuel injector is turned on, depending upon how much air is coming into the engine. And then, you know, technology of how the ignition system works. It needs sensors to know where that engine position is to light the spark plug so we have an explosion in the engine. So one other thing is engine performance. Everybody loves turbos, right? So putting a turbo on a vehicle makes it faster. So that's another thing that kind of got me interested in automotive technology, is how to make it faster, how to make it more fun, right? So, all right, Lynn, I think the next slide. Some classes that are recommended coming into the automotive program. Gen Ed is very important. I know it says to get them out of the way, but at the same time, what I mean by get them out of the way is understand your math. We do a lot of math and electrical, dealing with Ohm's law. There's, for the associate's degree, if you guys were going for the associate's degree in automotive technology, there's English Composition 1, oral interpersonal communication, intro to diversity studies, and intro to psychology, which I believe most of that stuff should be in your curriculum for high school also, that you could take those before coming to college. So, and those are all good because when you write up what you did on a car, we have to have punctuation and spelling and proper grammar because we are professionals in the field. So if the customer looks at the repair order and are wondering what did they do to my car, they should be able to read it. The grammar should be there, the punctuation should all be there. So those Gen Ed classes are very important, but if you can get them done before you get to college, that would be the best part, so that you can concentrate on all the mechanical and automotive classes at that time. Another course I would suggest is taking some kind of small engines course, if it's available at your high school, or an automotive technology course, or even robotics, something mechanically that, see if you even enjoy working with mechanical stuff. So that would be all good. So Lynn, next one, please. Employability skills. So we grade based on a bunch of the list there, participation. So I know Doug mentioned being on time. That's very important because when we start at, I start at 7:30 in the morning in the lab. When we start at that time, I do have some things to teach right away in the beginning that affects the rest of the day. So being on time is very important. Teamwork with instructors and students. You have to be able to work with other people even if you don't like them, because you're not going to like everybody at work, but you have to be professional and be able to work with everybody. So productivity, maximizing your learning and being efficient, safe and proper use of tools. That is more or less making sure that you're using a hammer as a hammer and not a screwdriver as a hammer or something like that, using the tools properly. And then quality of work performed, that you're constantly striving to have good quality, not that you're missing a bolt or something and then the wheel falls off, because that would be bad. So next slide, please. Professionalism, using appropriate language, treating others with respect, just being respectful to everybody around you, having a positive attitude, so with your eagerness to learn and master your material. Another one would be safety, wearing safety glasses, wearing a uniform, making sure that you're not wearing a necklace or something that could get caught in a fan, something like that. Critical thinking. So if there is a problem, how are you going to figure out that problem? Well, you might have to look at your service manual to figure out that problem and diagnose it properly. And then just checking progress with the instructor would be another one there. So next one. And what do you need to go into the automotive field? Well, and this goes with a diesel, like Doug was saying, tools. You will be required to buy tools. It's a requirement of our program. It's a requirement of just going into the automotive field in general. And you don't want to buy the cheapest tools possible because you're going to be using them every day. So if you're using something every day, you want it to be of a quality product there. So you don't want to use it once and it breaks, and then now you're sitting there and you're not able to fix that vehicle. So and a couple good brands there. Typically we have a tool day, but some good brands there are Snap-on, Matco, and Mac. And then some cheaper brands, which we wouldn't suggest, is usually a Pittsburgh or something from Harbor Freight, because usually once you break it, it's hard to get it replaced. So.
Great. And we did have a gentleman from the Wisconsin Auto and Truck Foundation at the last webinar who told us about grant opportunities for paying for your tools if you're interested in automotive. So there are opportunities
Awesome.
for you to get those paid for.
Awesome.
So you had mentioned, I really appreciate you talking about like students that should think about going into automotive, like if you innately know how to fix things. And I can't tell you the number of people who are good at that and think that everybody knows how to do that. And that is not true because I'm married to somebody who can do that. And my dad is a farmer who always fixed all his own equipment and really had a hard time understanding why every farmer didn't fix his own equipment. So that is a skill. And if you have it, you should be really, really happy you have it because lots and lots of people do not have it.
Yeah. And we do see some students that really weren't sure about coming into automotive. And then when they start it, it's not really for them. Now, the automotive field isn't just about working on cars either. So, I mean, there are where you can get a job in the parts department or become a service writer, service management. So there are other opportunities. I know our program is more tailored towards the repair side of it, but we do have a service writer certificate that if somebody wanted to just interact with customers, write repair orders, stuff like that, that's still a good thing to do too. So.
Yep, absolutely. At the very beginning, you talked about your ASE certifications. Can you tell us what ASE stands for?
It stands for Automotive Service Excellence. So that is a third party that more or less certifies technicians so that they're more or less when you're going to get a job, your job is looking for their certification so they know that you understand how brakes work, how steering and suspension works, how electrical works. There's 8 different areas there that helps for that job to understand that you know what you're doing.
Okay. Allison, do we have any questions in the chat?
I hit the wrong button and my dog's barking. There are no questions in the chat.
All righty. Okay, Todd, thank you so much for that information. We'll move on to our last instructor from NWTC, and that is Angela Hansen-Winker, who is lead faculty in supply chain management at NWTC. So Angela.
Thank you. I've been with NWTC for about 15 years, but before I get into talking about, my journey, I do want to mention that when I graduated from high school, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, right? And some of you might be asking or sitting there thinking about what you need to do. And during that time, I was experimenting with many different programs. In fact, I didn't even want to go to college, to be honest with you. But I signed up for nursing because my grandma was a nurse and I received a scholarship. So I thought I would give it a shot. And my first semester was very difficult because I really didn't know what I wanted to do and I didn't know what I was good at. And it made it frustrating and confusing. So, but as each semester went on and switching a number of programs, I just started in a business program because back then, which was about 20 years ago, that's all we had was just a business admin degree. And so I took one semester at a time, and I knew that it was important to get an education. And I tried to identify, what am I really good at? What am I interested in the courses that I would take? And it kind of evolved from there. Since then, I had graduated, with an associate degree. from a community college. And then I thought I would go work a little bit to see the different industries out there, take a look at maybe some things that might interest me. And again, I was still, confused as to what I wanted to do until I got to the point where I started working for Schneider National in their logistics division. And I spent about 9 years with that company, which was a great company to get started because they helped you identify what you're good at, what you're interested in, and they would actually put you in the right role. So I started out in payment resolution, more on the business side, and then I went into the logistics operation side, did some e-commerce, and then I went into technical training, where I started training our technology that our customers would lease. And then I also did technical training management and corporate training management, where I was a corporate trainer, and I realized that training was something I really liked, and I was good at process analysis, process improvements, and continuous improvements with that. So I decided to go back to school, and during that time, I got a bachelor's degree from Lakeland University. And then I went on to get my graduate work, my master's degree from Purdue University in industrial technology, because I felt that that background and the corporate training background helped me identify the skills and the interests that I wanted to do. And my study at Purdue was focused on adult learning, instructional design, transfer training, and reflective learning, so I could be a teacher at some point. And so then after that, I found a job at NWTC in the supply chain program, which I now oversee. I'm one of the lead faculty there. I've been with NWTC for 15 years. So I have approximately 20 years of teaching and probably 20 years of logistics and supply chain management. And in that time, it's been a great journey because I've had the opportunity to work with many customers. I do some consulting on the side with NWTC, and then I also have been able to travel. And so I've been to 13 different countries. It was either for Schneider or at NWTC, either as an instructor exchange or taking students study abroad, or actually setting up corporate training programs for other companies when I worked for Schneider. And so it's been a very interesting experience. So for those of you that are considering whether or not you should go to school, I would highly encourage you to enroll, go to college, even if you don't know what you want to do at this point, because your classes and the jobs that you have going on while you're in college will evolve and lead into something that you feel that you're good at and that you're interested in, that you want to pursue. And so I highly encourage that. Don't miss out on the opportunity, because I would have a major regret right now had I not pushed myself to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up, right? Okay, so that's a little bit about me. So next slide, please. So before I get into saying, discussing supply chain management, when we talk to high school students or even people that are not in high school, they look at me saying, what is supply chain management? I've never really heard of that before. And so there are a lot of things that we do in business that are related to supply chain management. And you may not know it today, but the things that are around you, the things that you're sitting on, the cars that you're driving, the necessities that you need, everything that you have in your house or at work had to get there at some point, right? And so we would want to say it's more like a business degree, but it's really not, because what we're doing is we're taking a look at every aspect of the business, and we are calling it supply chain management because we're trying to figure out how do we move goods and services from point A to point B? How do we produce goods from raw materials to semi-finished goods to a finished product? And how do we get all of these products, or how do we administer all these services for businesses? That's called supply chain management. Okay, and so supply chain management is the management of the flow of goods and services, including all processes that are involved by each function of that organization, from the time it's raw materials to a semi-finished good to a finished good, and then we get that product to the end customer, whether that end customer is a retailer, wholesaler, or a consumer. And so you can go in many different directions in supply chain management. And had I known at the time, like I said, 25 years ago, we just had a business degree. But if we had a supply chain management degree 25 years ago, I think it would have created a more easier path for my journey to identify what I wanted to do. Because what it came down to it is I wanted to do everything, but I didn't know what I could do everything in, and that's supply chain management. So if you take a look at some of the jobs here and the companies, I mean, Amazon's big right now. They're dealing with packaging and warehousing and shipping products, right? We have Monster Energy drinks. How do you think the Monster Energy drink got there? Someone had to design it. Someone had to identify the attributes of that product, and someone had to produce it and send it to a customer. Tesla is huge right now. So how do we produce cars that are, cost effective, energy efficient? Tesla, you can go into that and be a production manager, or you can be a technician and produce those cars, design those cars. That's part of supply chain. We have Procter & Gamble, all the different products, paper products out there that are on the shelf. Procter & Gamble is huge. So you can do anything at Procter & Gamble, whether you want to produce that product, or you want to be an operations manager, or you want to be a transportation manager to deal with transportation, or if you want to look in warehousing inventory, where you're inventorying those goods. Same with the military and the healthcare system. So logistics was created in the military, in the Army, and a lot of our logistical practices and best practices come from the military. So if you're thinking of going into the military, I think that's a great opportunity. You would get that practice. But then when you come out, you would have those foundational skills to continue with a supply chain management degree. And so I have a lot of veterans that are in my supply chain management degree. And then also my father, he was a Marine. I have 3 uncles that were a Marine, and I have a cousin that just retired 22 years as a Marine officer. And so I definitely have a lot of people that have been in the military, and I thank them for that service, as well as you, if you have family members as well. But the military has a really good process or best practices they use with managing supply and demand. The healthcare system, how do we get all of our masks, for example, our supplies, especially with COVID right now? We had to figure out how to minimize the disruptions in our supply chain to be able to get the medical supplies that were needed to support the COVID pandemic that we had earlier this spring. And then for some of you that like retail, Pink or Victoria's Secret, how do you get those products to the store? You're basically identifying doing demand forecasting and being able to identify the items that are needed. And then Apple and AirPods as well. You heard of Schneider and Packard. So the careers in supply chain here, you can take any career: purchasing, operations, manufacturing, logistics, transportation, dispatching, inventory management, and warehousing, and you can become a manager in any one of those fields. I just have one more slide, so if I could just touch on the classes. Some of the classes that we take at NWTC for supply chain management, these are our core classes. There are 10 of them. If anything, I would ask you to take the supply chain management and logistics course. That will give you an understanding of what supply chain is. And then all the 3 lean courses as well. That will give you an understanding of continuous improvement and problem solving. But you can see other courses that you would have would be global supply chain management, so moving product from China to Green Bay or Green Bay to China, supply chain simulation software, purchasing negotiations, all the lean manufacturing courses, enterprise resource planning for implementing software. And then you have the opportunity to participate in study abroad. I take students to Brazil or Mexico do an internship, and 54 of our credits will transfer to UWGB, which Dr. Amelia will be talking about shortly. And then our program is in 8 weeks. We have online, in-person, and blended. And just to give you some statistics, we have 100% job placement of our NWTC graduates. There are 8 jobs to every 1 NWTC supply chain graduate. And the median salary is somewhere between $36,000 and $46,000 annually for just obtaining a 2-year degree, and that is with no experience. With experience in a 2-year degree, that number is significantly much higher. And so you will see that you could make anywhere up to 6 digits within supply chain. It's a very high demand, high paying field. And it's great if you are very good at planning and organizing, leading, customer service, and problem solving, or if you're very analytical. Those would be the employability skills that I would say you would need that would help you be effective in this industry. So I highly encourage you to look at this, explore this, especially if you don't know what you want to do. This would definitely start leading you into the path where you could specialize in any one of these roles of a supply chain, particularly global as well. Okay.
Great. Yeah, even in the education world, we are trained on lean at CESA 8 because we're all about continuous improvement. So there are definitely things that you might get into in supply chain, but that transfer to other areas as well. Allison, do we have a question? It looks like we do.
If we do, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw another.
We do not,
Pop
but
up
I do think that supply chain is certainly a secret for some reason. There's so much opportunity and growth, and it can transfer to any place. And the pandemic did highlight the importance of supply chain. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And great connection to Schneider. Thanks for bringing up your career pathway. We had 2 gals from the supply chain last week from Schneider talking about their role. So if you want more information about what a career looks like in supply chain, you can go back to last week's video and watch that.
Good.
All right. Thanks so much, Angela. And
Thank
we
you.
have our last speaker, Dr. Amelia Gertu, is going to be talking to us about supply chain management. He is the chair of business administration and associate professor of supply chain management with the School of Business at UWGB. Dr. Gertu.
Thank you. So the first slide, yes, my name is Amelia Gertu, and as Lynn said, I'm the chair of School of Business and associate professor of supply chain management. My passion had been in supply chain. Can you go to the next slide, please? My journey is not that straightforward as Professor Angela said, or other speakers said. Like it was quite unusual. I ended up in supply chain. I started my career as an engineer, setting up an R&D and then putting up another plant, product design. And as part of my setting up plants, I was more focusing on the layout and store planning, and then slowly got more involved into this. And then I went for doing my first master's in engineering and continued doing the similar kind of stuff like process improvement, lean, etc. We talked about. Then later I did MBA from Ivy in Canada. My undergrad and first master was from India in engineering, and then MBA from Canada, Ivy School of Business. And then later I did PhD from Toronto, Canada. I'm here at University of Wisconsin, Green Bay for the last 6 years. Before that, I spent more than 20 years in various roles in many international organizations. And about, give or take, 11 years in higher ed. So my experience is not as Professor Angela's experience in higher ed yet. I started supply chain program here, and as you can see, because my research was in global supply chains and how do they impact the environment? How can we minimize the environmental impact of global supply chains? And I may be repeating most of this stuff because previous presenters have covered most of this stuff, but there may be a few things new. So bear with me, and if you have any question, feel free to ask. I have worked in automotive industry. Honda was one of them. I also worked in agriculture tractor company. It was German company named Eicher, and now they make also John Deere tractors over there. I set up a plant for extracting edible oil with refineries. So it's a kind of chemical plant, chemical extraction of oil and refining it. High-tech manufacturing company. And my last corporate job was as director of program management at their corporate office of one of the largest mining company, Vale Inco in Toronto. And as part of my various roles, I traveled to many countries and worked in many countries. Next slide, please. Now, before I go into supply chain specifics, I thought of mentioning the layout of University of Wisconsin Green Bay. It has 4 campuses. One is north of Green Bay in Marinette, and there are 2 campuses, Manitowoc and Sheboygan, south of the main campus in Green Bay. And the university has 4 distinct colleges. One of them is, they are not in any order. I just wrote these names. So it is not the first one is more important than the last, nothing like that. First college is Art, Humanity, and Social Science, which deals with generally like music, art, history, geography, English, etc., languages. Another is College of Health, Education, and Social Welfare. So as the name says, it is primarily focused on health, education, and social welfare, nursing program, education program, etc. And this is the first college under UWGB which has started a doctoral program. The third one is College of Science and Technology, and we have a engineering program besides usual chemistry, physics, maths, bio, etc., environmental science. It's Russian School of Business, Engineering, which is relatively new but growing very fast. And the last one is Austin E. Coffin School of Business, which is my unit. This has 3 departments: accounting and finance, marketing, HR, and management, and business administration. So I'm the chair of business administration, and supply chain is under business administration. It has some other programs like entrepreneurship also and business administration. Next slide, please. So I thought of describing what supply chain is, even though Angela has mentioned. So think of it, on one end, we have product design and development research on one extreme. Again, please enter. The next extreme is the consumer facing environment, which is marketing, sales, service. Now, again, next please. Anything in between, which is how do you translate whatever has been designed by the research and development team into a physical product and deliver it to end customer or your doorstep. This is all supply chain. And there are many other functions like HR, accounting, IT. They are all auxiliary functions, I call them. They help the entire enterprise. But you can imagine, once something has been designed on in the past it used to be drawing boards, now it is on computer screen, converting that into a reality, doing various trials and procuring it, making sure everything works, packaging it, moving through various layers and bringing it to the customer in a safe condition where customer is happy that it is not broken, it is not damaged, it reaches on time. That's all supply chain. So supply chain is not just moving around thing. It includes manufacturing, it includes packaging, it includes storing, it includes how much items would be needed, when and where, which is technical term is inventory control. So it involves all those activities. I find it very fascinating, interesting, but for some reason, this area, as somebody said, that it is not so well known for reasons I don't know. But this term is still newer term as compared to many other areas like finance or HR or marketing. But I feel this is the most fascinating area. Next slide, please. And I'll tell you the reason in the next slide why it is so important. Next, please. See the size, one more time, next, please. The size of value which is involved in a manufacturing organization is about 70% of the entire cost in a manufacturing organization. Think for a second that you will be dealing with if you're in supply chain, the highest amount of money in a manufacturing organization. And the other side, which is showing 90%, it is for retail organizations like Walmart, Target, Costco, because they do not produce so much, so they do not have other expenses. It is mostly supply chain expenses. So their supply chain cost is about 90% of the total cost in an organization. So this gives an opportunity to work with the very large value for the organization and doing something to reduce this cost, which will help improve the profitability of organization, help reduce greater market share, because if the cost is low, marketing can sell it at lower price and things like that. So that is why I chose this area. And I always try to optimize cost, optimize processes. And this is one area I found is the best if you want to do that. Next slide, please. Now, what are the programs, certificates, courses we have at UWGB? So we have a Bachelor in Business Administration with emphasis in supply chain management. We also have SCM, Supply Chain Management Certificate, in two flavors. One is credit for somebody who is working and has some experience, and non-credit also for someone who just want to gain some experience or some knowledge without trying to transfer those credits towards bachelor later. Now, both SCM certificate and BBA have been designed. It started with the in-class, then became hybrid, and now long before COVID came, these were 100% online. So when COVID came, this certificate was easiest to transition from face-to-face to online version, because everything was in place. We have already experimented and tried. I won't call it this is in the ideal situation, but it was far ahead as compared to other courses. And these are main courses in supply chain management. Principles of Supply Chain Management is the one which has been introduced from spring this year. And everybody takes this, whoever goes for BBA in any discipline. And then project management, again, this has become a core course for everyone. Then we have a advanced supply chain, we just call it supply chain management, logistics, entrepreneurship, and enterprise resource planning. So these are 6 courses for supply chain right now, and we are working on a graduate program in supply chain. Next slide, please. Now, Professor Angela has also already mentioned about some careers. So these are some career paths you can look at it, and it is in alphabetical order, not necessarily in the importance or how much salary you are going to get. The highest rank you can go as Chief Operating Officer, CEO. chief operating officer. So there are lots of career opportunities through supply chain, and it is needed or required in every manufacturing retail business, retail organization. So there is a lack of trained professional, and the key operating word is trained. Those who have received formal education training in supply chain. So they are always in demand. All the students at UWGB get lots of internships options in supply chain, logistics, transportation industry. And generally transportation is assumed as if you are going to be a truck driver, but that is not the case. There are many other managerial functions in transportation and logistics. And as you can see, even quality manager, quality control, purchase, project manager, hospital administrator, there are lots and lots of opportunities. These are just few, just to give you an idea what these are. Next slide, please. Now, there are some skills. I think the first presenter already mentioned. First and the foremost important thing is collaboration and cooperation with others, which is teamwork. You must develop this skill if you already not have this. This is the most important skill in supply chain, because supply chains have become global. There is nothing local, and you'll be dealing with people from different cultures, different language barriers, and you'll have to, if you are not open to collaboration and cooperation with others, the performance would be affected. So this is one of the most important thing for anybody who wants to come in supply chain. And again, the supply chains have become global, so time zone difference is also very important. So in that case, we have to manage our time effectively. Face-to-face communication is less. So you have to use very precise language, which does not cause problem. And the last one, I feel there is not even a single organization that survives without Microsoft Excel, basically worksheet. Try to improve your skills of using Excel sheet, not just making tables. There are lots of functions. There are courses in both NWTC and UWGB. And even if you join NWTC as an associate for an associate degree, you can transfer many credits to this. Next one, please. Next slide. Yes. The last one is, why should you consider this? No. I think one back, please. Yes. Why should you consider a career in supply chain? As I said, there is a huge demand for trained professionals. Whether you have an associate degree or a graduate degree or an undergrad, there is a huge demand. Professor Angela has provided some salary range for those who are starting with an associate degree. And if you are an undergrad degree in supply chain, your starting would be somewhere around minimum 45, and it goes up to 55. It's the fastest growing area in business globally, not just in Green Bay. Very high pace environment. And as I already said, there is a need for trained professional. Currently, there is a shortage of trained professional in supply chain. And that is the end of my presentation.
Do we have any questions in the chat, Allison?
There are not, no.
Okay, great. Well, Dr. Gurtu's information is here, and we will make sure that it also is in our recordings. So if you want to get in touch about any of the programs at UWGB, you will have his contact information. So thank you very much to all of our speakers today. Just a brief reminder about our ag topics coming up in January, and you should have received the link for that today along with the evaluation link. So we definitely love to hear feedback from you about what other areas you would like us to sponsor in the coming months. So thank you again to all of our speakers. We appreciate your time today talking to us about transportation, distribution, and logistics. Have a great